The pluperfect tense. What is the pluperfect tense in French? The pluperfect tense is used to say what had happened. For example, I had eaten the food earlier. So in other words, this is another past tense. How do we form the pluperfect? The pluperfect is made of two main verb structures. This is the auxiliary verb conjugated into the imperfect, which is either avoir or être, and the past participle of a verb. So it's a similar structure to that of the passé composé, which is another past tense. We're going to have a look at the imperfect auxiliaries now. We've had a look at auxiliaries in the past in the passé composé, and as we know, there are a verb which are put before the second conjugated verb in a sentence to make it a past tense. And as always, they can either be avoir or être, depending on the verb that we're going to be conjugating with in the sentence. So for avoir, for je, we use avait. For tu, we use avait. For il and elle, we use avait. For nous, we use avions. For vous, we use aviez. And for ils and elles, we use aveillons. With être, we use était for je, était for tu, était for il and elle, étions for nous, étiez for vous, and était for ils and elles. The past participle endings. The past participles are different endings for each verb type. These are the kind of endings to the verb which we're going to be using when conjugating them. So for ER verbs, we remove the ER and we add an E with an accent. With IR verbs, we remove the IR and we add an I. And with our E verbs, we add a U. So when do we use avoir or être? Avoir is used with every single verb which is not reflexive or Miss Van der Tramp. Avoir also has some irregular verbs which use different endings. Être is used for verbs which are reflexive or Miss Van der Tramp. So, which are the Miss Van der Tramp verbs? Miss Van der Tramp is an acronym which is going to spell out some of the verbs which are going to take être. For example, monter, which turns into monter. Sortir, where the past participle is sorti. Venir, where the past participle is venu. Aller, where the past participle is aller. Naître, where the past participle is né. Descendre, where the past participle is descendu. Entrer, where we have entré. Rester, which is resté. Tomber, which turns into tomber. Retourner, which turns into retourner. Arriver, which turns into arriver. Mourir, which turns into mort. And partir, which turns into parti. Forming Miss Van der Tramp verbs. It follows the same structure for all passé composé verbs generally. So this time, être is used as the auxiliary, and we put the auxiliary in front of the Miss Van der Tramp verb. For example, if we were to put it in the passé composé, it would be je suis monté. However, in the imperfect, we would have to use the imperfect of suis, which for je would be étions. So that would be je étais monté. However, the verb must agree with the pronoun always if we're using Miss Van der Tramp verbs. So again, if we were using it in the passé composé, we would use nous sommes montés. The rules are, if it's a masculine ending, we add nothing. If it's feminine, we have to add an E to the ending. If it's plural, we have to add an S. And if it's feminine plural, it's an ES. Reflexive verbs. Reflexive verbs are verbs which are going to be used when the object and the subject are the same thing. These verbs all take être. So we also need reflexive pronouns when using reflexive verbs. So we're going to use me for je, de for tu, ce with il and elle, nous with nous, vous with vous, and ce for ils and elles. For example, if we were speaking the passé composé, we could have je me suis levé or tu t'es levé. As we can see, the reflexive pronoun goes after the pronoun itself and before the auxiliary. This has been the end of the lesson. As always, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to check out www.revisealevel.co.uk for more information on all of your A-level subjects and a list of all imperfect verbs in French. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.